Greetings, Busanti and Pasaiful. So we're from Managerial Accounting Class IUP Group 9, and we're here to present our final report on the MSME BATIK WISTARA. Here are the three members of this group. So before we get to the main analysis, let's get to know about Batik Wistara first. So Batik Wistara is located in Surabaya, specifically in Rungkut. It's an ongoing local SME for 15 years, founded in 2009 by the owner, Bu Marni, and Pa Aryo Setiawan, her husband. So the activities involved in Batik Wistara is customizing and selling batik to customers' preference. So this is a custom-based model business, and it provides job opportunities for the disabled community. Currently, they have 12 staffs, and they supply raw cloths from reliable factory in Surabaya. They attend cultural exhibition to sharpen their skills since 2014 across places in Indonesia, such as NTT, Jakarta, etc. And they partner with Pameran Karya Kreatif Indonesia to sell their products at an exhibition in Japan 2024. So they are on the scale of international knowledge expansion reach. So on the left, we can see the organizational structure chart of Batik Wistara. It's nothing too complex because it is an MSME itself. And the vision of Batik Wistara is to become an inclusive batik enterprise that empowers people with disabilities while also preserving the rich cultural heritage of Indonesian batik. And two of the missions of Batik Wistara is the company commits to provide sustainable workplace with an efficient production and proper balance of labor hours, and it aims to consistently deliver high quality and creative batik products. And the values that this MSME uphold is inclusivity without discrimination, adaptability in solving production issues, ethical pricing transparency, and encouraging Indonesian pride in batik. Batik Wistara offers two types of product, the long sleeves and the short sleeves. Normally, the price for short sleeves is 300k rupiah, and for the long sleeves is 350k rupiah. So, as mentioned before, this is a customized based business model. So, 80% of the sales are customized by the customer, and 20% of them are produced or ready to wear. So, they store approximately 10 until 12 rolls of raw cloth monthly, and with that amount of raw cloth, they can produce approximately 200 batiks monthly. So the case is, Batik Wisara has faced a loss of 570,000 rupiah in February 2025, and the profit since September 2024 until February has been inconsistent, and it is due to the custom-made system that leads to not having targets in production units, causing lack in reaching break-even point. And that leads to loss and production inefficiencies. As I've mentioned before, it does not use the raw materials fully. So, despite the high revenue period from September until December, the poor coordination between demand, production, and inventory has led to cash flow shortages. And in order for them to regain financial stability, it must improve demand forecasting using CVP analysis, which we will be using ahead. And it can help determine break even points and guide better decision making for Batik Wistara.
Okay, so yeah, we move on into the financial data in operational cost itself from September until February. So the cost of operation at Batik Vista comprised the monthly expenditure required from September to February. So to sustain the process of production of both long sleeve and short sleeve products, Batik Search. And as you can see that in the salary, they have 12 staff. They paid per month with 9 million rupiah. Electricity or internet per month with 2 million rupiah, and administration expense with 15,000 rupiah, and machine depreciation 8 months per month is 660 666.400, with the total operation cost of 11,681.
So, jumping on to the financial data of sales volume, this is for the period September 2024 until February 2025. So, sales volume refers to a total number or monetary value of products or services sold by a company over a specific period of time. So, the first chart, we can see the net sales of Batik Wistara. So, the first 3 months from September until November, it was on a steady incline of profit, but the net sales from December until February had a decrease, and it hits the February's total net loss of 1 million rupiah. And this is due to the low demand from the customers, and the first 3 months happened to be a very seasonal period compared to the last 3 months, which made February endure loss in the sales. And we can see also the income sales chart of Batik Wistara. It can also be observed that the highest sales occurred in November by 33 million rupiah, and the lowest pit is also in February by 15 million rupiah.
Financial data on operating profits. Earning from core business operation after deducting cost of goods sold and operating expenses reflect the management efficiency and profit generation. As you can see, this is the data for the operating profit. There are several key insights. As you can see in the data, for the peak profit itself is around 11 million rupiah on November, and the sharp decline, as you can see, the net loss of around 1,300,000 rupiah on February 2025. So the cost is sales drop around 55% November to February, while fixed costs persist on 11,600,000 rupiah per month. And as you can see, this is the formula for for the net profit itself. Total sales minus cost of goods sold minus operating expenses.
So next is the cost of goods sold calculation. So the measure of COGS includes expenses directly related to the production of the products, such as labor, materials, and manufacturing overhead. So before we jump into the monthly COGS, this is the details for each of the product, the long sleeve and the short sleeve. So for the raw material, they consist of fabric, coloring, button, and thread. For the operational cost, they have salary, electricity and internet, administration expense, and machine depreciation. So as you can see, both of the variants have the same amount of monthly operational cost, which will be evenly spread it depending to the monthly unit production. So this is the monthly COGS calculation. As you can see, the highest COGS endured in November, reaching 10 million rupiah. Meanwhile, the lowest was in February, hitting 5 million rupiah. And the total COGS is corresponding to the sales trend. As mentioned before, the sales in September until November were consistently increasing. Therefore, they also increased in COGS. But in contrast, from December until February, where it endured a loss on February, the sales were decreasing. So the higher the sales, the higher the COGS, and vice versa. And the purchase discounts, the purchase returns, delivery fees, import fees, and production costs were not included because they were trying to take effective cost controlling. And also, it's not relevant. It's not a relevant activity during that time.
So in the chapter 3, analysis and discussion with the contribution margins, and the monthly contribution margin at Batik Wistara was comparatively constant over the 6 months at an average of about 70%. As you can see that in the contribution margin ratio, on the September they have 70% point 61, October 70% point 66, November 69%, December 70%, January 69%, and February on the last one 68%. So the contribution margin in September was 19,665,000 rupiah, and the ratio was 76.1%, which is shows that the cost is well controlled and the sales volume is good. And for the formula itself, for the contribution margin equal revenue minus cost variable, and for the contribution margin ratio is 1 minus cost variable, yeah, and revenue.
Okay, this is the analysis and discussion on break-even point analysis. So the definition itself, Hansen and Moen said the point where total revenue equals to the total cost. So here's the formula. The BEP for rupiah itself is equals to total fixed cost divided by selling prices per unit minus variable cost times selling price per unit. And for the BEP per BEP unit equals to fixed cost divided by selling price minus variable cost. So as you can see, this is the data for BEP in units and the BEP in rupiah. The key findings, there are stable units BEP consistently around 51 to 52 units per month, and the rising cost itself is BEP in rupiah increased over time, reflecting high cost or prices. Move on to the margin of safety. And the definition itself, Liestiana and Novianti say that the excess of actual cells over break-even cells measuring risk buffer. So here's the formula for the margin of safety. Rupiah equals to total sales minus BEP, and for the margin of safety in percentage is equals to total sales minus BEP divided by total sales times 100%. So as you can see, here's the margin of safety in rupiah and in percentage. The key trends that is fine is peak for the peak margin of safety itself is on 17.2 million, around 50.7% in November 2024. And the critical risk itself is around minus 1.6 million, or minus 10.4% in the February 2025. And the decline is the margin of safety is dropped sharply post November. And
Next is the degree of operating leverage, or DOL. So DOL is a way to illustrate how fixed costs are used during operations. So it correlates with the amount of profit. So the lower the DOL, the higher the profit, because it shows that the risk of the fixed cost not being covered is low. So this happens, as you can see, from September until November. The DOL was kept on a downward trend. It indicates that Batik Wistara was gaining profit within those period. And when the net income can't cover the fixed cost, as I mentioned before, the DOL scores higher, which can be observed starting from December until January. And that was because the sales were declining, specifically in February, where the sales were enduring loss. So that's why the DOL for the month of February was minus.
Okay, so now we are on profit target analysis from Batik Vistara. Since Batik Vistara has two products, which is long sleeve and short sleeve, with two different prices, we want to use the CVP formula where we calculate the weighted contribution margin and selling price as the following, with the required unit sales fixed cost per weighted contribution margin per unit minus target profit percentage times weighted average selling price. So now, on the below picture is the breakdown of the weighted contribution margin and average price of the two products, which is long sleeve and short sleeve. And the result of weighted contribution margin is obtained by multiplying each of the contribution margin per product and its sales mix ratio and summing the results. Okay, we are still on profit target analysis. So on the left side, the table above shows the result of calculation using the CVP formula with weighted contribution margin and average price formations where we target 21% profit for the business for Batik Wistara. And as you can see, that is per month September until February with the profit target 21%. Okay, on the right side we have the so BATIK WISTARA has exceeded target profit of 20% in contrast. So from December until February, it has not reached a target profit of 20%, which is why that the color of the number is red. And this is due to the decrease in sales within the last 3 months, even leading to loss until February.
And this is the table to overall summarize the calculation that has been done. So yes, the above is the summary of the revenue, the total variable cost, the CM, the BEP, the margin of safety, and the DOL. So this highlights the BEP of units where Batik Wistara can increase its monthly production to gain profit and minimize its operational cost, which will be discovered more in the next chapter.
Okay, so now for the conclusions, based on the CVP analysis, Batik Wistara show strong financial performance from September to November 2024, and which is they achieve over 40% in both contribution margin and margin of safety, and surpassing its 21% profit target, which is I mentioned earlier that in the month of September to November. However, from December to February 2025, sales declined sharply while fixed costs remain the same, resulting in lower profits and a loss in February, which is the last, which is the least. And this indicates that the business is highly sensitive to demand fluctuations and cost inefficiencies. To ensure year-round profitability, so Batik Bisara must improve production planning, control variable costs, and enhance marketing forecasting, especially during the low season by understanding that the minimum sales needs to reach profit goals.
Okay, so this is the strategic recommendation for Batik Wistara. The first one, optimize the production strategy, adopting hybrid production, 60 to 65 base units or plus custom orders, target targeting around 74 units per month for 21% profit margin. And the second strategy is manage seasonal demand for for example, high demand, ramp up production to 80 to 75 units per month, and in the low season, reduce to BEP level around 51 to 52 units. For and the third strategy is cost structure control, creating contingency reserves for peak month, negotiating flexible supplier terms and variable pay structures. And the last recommendation will be the financial monitoring, monthly CVP tracking with BEP around 51 to 52 units as KPI, and implementing sales forecasting plus early warning alerts near BEP.
So this is the appendix section. These are the pictures of proof of our interview with Bumarni, the owner of Batik Wistara. And the next datas are the datas that are extracted to help us to form calculations and to support our analysis. This is the logbook of our job contribution on this final report. Thank you so much for your attention to our final project presentation.